Let me reiterate, there's a lot of things that I forgot to state in the last video. Now, one of the main things that I have to, say that, the battle with my mom has to do something with whole politics. If you don't know the difference, it sees automatically 1/9 due to, knowing not how to be autism, with meditation, even though some people consider that cheating, and I'm 1/5. Really, the first main fifth, really, if you didn't have to grow up, if you didn't have to go to extravagant places and meet Asian people, what we fought for was different. I fought for nerds getting a linear perspective instead of, our nerd being snot-nosed having to play a full video game. Literally, I fought for nerds really having an actually unique opinion instead of being bastard to the fact that literally somebody slightly deferring with autism in high school gets compared to somebody with Down syndrome. That's still labeled with autism. But anyway, see, fought for all those people on a cruise, literally hiding behind sweet tarts. And you know what that means? That means government regulation. That means understand literally that autism has a harassment problem and leave people alone based off sweet tart instead of their actual shit. Now, when I get into their comment, I bring girls like Kimmy, who I have a build, their martial art position, and calls out what people are doing literally when they were top tier reading, literally and everything, and now everybody's saying too hot, fucking Kimmy, this, now I ask with the real problems, and then shit that I've been saying for over 3 years is that I had an actual real problem, a mental without being high problem, and you guys literally, when you hop on our crazy, you go through the same thing, you have tons of outlets, and you know it's a fucking shit, and people treat you like a princess. I'm like tough T, and nobody can say tough T to you back. Let's severely off topic this video. Let's get into the fact that literally, because how money is spent in America, literally, this fight defines literally when they started to come out with Demon Slayer shoes, literally with actual Dr. Jesus shoes. I wanted to buy some, Dr. Jesus shoes for my Axel Fit. What happened during 2020 and quarantine was I started looking up a whole bunch of new app merchandise and socializing just stopped. And what ends up happening, literally, when I don't have enough money, I can only survive on welfare was when I had a job, a job to go with pizza, but I'm getting, $2,000, every month. Literally, what ends up happening, right, is I can't afford a couple of $100 shoes, this is that, especially when they're dark magician, this is that. What they started to do, when they figured out that I like art more than a con, is that literally, they recognize that literally, that's different, that means you buy those shoes, it goes hand in hand with you being a rapper. You can't just fucking buy those shoes, you can't just literally see that, have the fucking say buy because it's government regulation, and that's the whole part of our angle. This is an actual fight, this is a political fight. That's one of them. The other, topic of this video is cause and effect. What happens to Chris, what happens to Noel, literally, when you listen to good music, because autism, can't play off good music, due to the fact of not playing an instrument and not being patient, because how you listen to real music is that you actually know the strings and chords like 1, 1, 1, 2, A. And unfortunately, you see how I told you literally something was wrong with my mentality, I had to fix it on reading. I recently decided to make it speaks, literally, if India has a friend, literally, and she's going to the beach, just the beach, and she's not having this, outlandish, socializing, ideas like Eris and that purple thing. Not going into detail, but this covering is slowly becoming impactful instead of doing everything impactful at once. That means mature. Literally, the more you read, the more you get closer to normal thinking, so please stop this shit. There's a sacrifice in the middle of an interaction, especially in the middle of an interaction in a beast. That means mature, and what ends up happening to people in cause and effect, how autism, listens to music is they imagine shit like comic books and stuff, but they don't imagine shit all the time based off establishment. Literally, when the world listens to music, literally, it's on point, literally looks like an interaction with friends, literally, it looks fucking psychedelic, like Flying Lotus. That's like I showed you in the Laffy Taffy video, that's why Bloodless is an interesting game, because somebody told you how to live life like your older brother, literally, fooled you were a Laffy Taffy just like me. See how much fun I have, literally skateboarding, literally do all this shit with cause and effect. What if I told you that's the exact reason why money what goes around comes around? Literally, your cousin ends up being broke in the future, your brother ends up being broke in the future, they're both getting, over $1 trillion in debt. Literally, so that's what ends up happening. Guess what you did all those fucking years while autistic kids were struggling? Literally, you knew how to listen to music properly, you knew how to have a concrete beat that nobody can disagree with. Literally, which is the whole regulation between autism and regular people. Therefore, when you get older, when you start working, they take the cause and effect away and they make you the equivalent to autism. What goes around comes around. Well, I can't, not with this relation, because somebody knows how to live above autism in between segments, and somebody knows how to literally live below autism but be above, literally, when it comes into intuition and wordplay. Part of this video is understanding, because back when I was watching the tuning exams, back with Chris, when I was very little, when the fight actually first came out on Toonami, literally what came to Gara versus Rock Lee, he ended up saying that Rock Lee got his ass kicked. And I'm all like, literally, education says, no, it was a good match, literally fucking, he made Gara go sitting here, this, and that. He's like, okay, well, he still got his ass kicked. It doesn't matter if you put up a fight, literally, at the end of the day, he still got his ass kicked. You know what that's connected to? An actual hook in the fight, meaning that, overall, Gara had more power and had more, resolve when it came to the end of the fight. What that means is Gara was overall stronger, due to being in a stronger position like white people in society, and Rock Lee didn't have a chance in the first place. That is really, really critically true. Okay, think of it like this. Rock Lee actually got hurt, and God had some sense to put himself back together. Very important to know about Thursday, mystic style when it comes to fighting, because it's actually true. Like I said, it was a global pandemic. Really, if a little kid, if a younger brother could call out something more educational, but not call out something more big in a grand scheme. This is exactly why I told you. That's why people hate and knew how to throw a hook. That's why people kept on fooling his perception, because in order to throw a hook, lately it's very simple to explain this video. A hook, one of my biggest challenges lately back when I was first fighting is throwing a hook leaves yourself open, and that's why in order to throw a hook it takes experience, because in order to throw a hook properly you have to dance around the person, literally wait for themselves to get open all the way to the point where you swing, you land on their head. This takes practice and determination. That's why boxing is no joke. And that's the key to doing something over, to do it over and over again. And one of the future problems, that came, when I was, having a dancing style fighting with, people like Andre. Literally, I was so obsessed, with me progressing. Oh, you should look at this, you should like this, you should be distracted by that. Literally, all the way to a point where I forgot to actually read the person. Let's get to the main subject of this video. Literally, what I'm really gonna get out there, since I did, was involved with my kid in school, and was involved with a whole bunch of people who went to my old school. Let me tell you, literally, you see how I explained the spell, literally, in the last video? This is specifically where I went to, was the rival of my old school, because I went to Sarah, right? Literally, and I was supposed to go to Washington, but I was obviously made with the members. But more importantly, that school in the state, because how America was built was in order, to rival with Washington, and that's the joke. Literally, that was flat out a joke to me. You wanna know why? Because I started off with the Alpha Mega, the whole fucking thing where I had to lead in the beginning, calling out because simply they had a better football team. Washington had a better football team, better girls, this and that. But guess what happens when you grow up? You put yourself in your situation with your mom. Guess what you figure out about the school, what America did and what the other person didn't. Literally, they ended up calling out that Washington rate. Literally, so literally we were known for being Title Candy, having the worst football team, having everything else. But what America's message is school is school. And later on, really, they get even more contradictory. You say school is school, but then you use a gang. You know why? Because that's what you want. Literally, you want, to have a whole bunch of fun with that purple shit. Literally, you want to fucking literally have good socializing, go to detail socialize that kills people. Go, kill someone, dodge a whole bunch of bullets, go to San Leandro, do this, this, and that. Literally, guess what happens is when you really want something, really, I'm gonna be there at the end. Because what makes a rival school, built is the fact that we're ready for war and doing war. This is what we do. Now you have to admit to us, because guess what? The other school rate. Or ignore a message, you want to ignore this and that from good people. Literally, we're gonna talk out the other school rate. Now you're stuck with that message, right? That's what it is. America is made to let you know school is a gang is a game. So if it is what it is, if you letting a gang take control, legally, and it's specifically what it's made for. The Asian people or the Tiz people team, that's what America is made for. It's made to rival Washington and correcting, ordering and saying that school is school. That's why we still provide for our kids. That's why we still provide outlets to go to places like the special and shit. If your kids can't even stay in school, what's the whole point of having all this aid kid? They can't keep up with the message. That's what I'm saying. They're two opposite sides of their fields. It's stupid, but it's true. And that's why you end up using their message way later. That's their message. You want to ignore school, we feed them to the wolves. I tell you, America used to have boxing, used to have a whole bunch of intellectual properties before I got there, but that's the whole point. Show you what school revolves around. That's where we make you pay for the football clothes. That's all for today.